Hey everybody, I'm Jason Creel and this is Lawn Care Life. Today I want to talk to you about how I'm making a change in my strategy to control crabgrass this year. That's one of the weeds that we deal with the most, and just want to talk to you about a slight change in my program, using some of the same products but going to use them in a different way. So let's get started with this video. Alright, I'm going to talk to you about 3 products here, and I've got a 4th product actually I'm going to talk about as well, but I don't have it available to show you. But when it comes to crabgrass, one of the things that you're going to find out if you're new to this is that it's much easier to prevent it with a pre-emergent than it is to get rid of it with the post-emergent. It's also much cheaper to do that. The products that you're going to use most likely as a post-emergent are going to be more expensive. So what we do, and again, this is going to be somewhat based on the area you're in and the weather, and it can vary year to year depending on the weather, but typically I'm in Alabama, and so what we do is, you know, right at the beginning of the year, so early January, we start spraying our pre-emergent. The product I'm using for that is this. It's Resolute 65WG, and you can see here that the active ingredient is prodiamine. So that's my pre-emergent that's preventing the crabgrass, and it works very, very well. Now, depending on where you are, again, your crabgrass may germinate different times of year. Here in our area, it usually germinates sometime, you know, between late February and mid-March or so. So you got to get this down before that happens, or just to be honest with you, it's not going to be effective. Now, what happens if, let's say you're late, let's say you're running a lawn care business, or maybe you're a homeowner and you just were late for whatever reason, and the crabgrass is already germinated. Well, if it's small in that situation, then what you're going to do is most likely, well, you got a couple options, but what a lot of people do, they'll switch over and they'll start using Dimension. And Dimension is the product that I don't have to show you. I'm sorry about that, but you can look it up. I can put links to some of these products in the description as well. But Dimension will prevent crabgrass if it hasn't germinated, but it can also kill the crabgrass that's still in a very small stage after it's germinated. Now from my experience, the Dimension will only kill the crabgrass in the very, very early stages. So, you know, for me, again, going on the timing of here, let's say I'm going to use prodiamine from early January through the end of February, something like that. And then maybe early March, I'm going to switch over and start doing Dimension, depending on the weather, and if I think the crabgrass is already germinated by the weather and the soil temperatures and things like that. And I might use the Dimension for, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, but then after a certain point, and this is where the change is going to come in my program and what I'm going to start doing a little bit different this year. So once I get done with just a couple weeks of using Dimension, you know, maybe mid to late March, I'm going to switch over and I'm going to start using Drive XLR8 is my plan here. And you can see the active ingredient in it is quinclorac, and so that's your post-emergent for crabgrass. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the Drive XLR8 with the prodiamine. Now, the prodiamine at that point, if the crabgrass already germinated, at least most of it has, and it typically germinates within all of it within a short period of time. So the prodiamine may not be doing me much good on preventing crabgrass at that point, but if there was some that hadn't germinated yet, it could prevent that. But the idea is that, in my theory here, is that the Drive XLR8, the quinclorac, is going to do a better job of killing that existing crabgrass. And if there's some that hasn't germinated yet, then the prodiamine can prevent that. So I'm going to combine these two, and that's going to be, you know, a little bit more expensive, obviously, and there would be no reason to do that if I'd already put out the prodiamine early in the year before it germinated. But for like a new customer who signs up in March or April, maybe even May, I could try that. Now past May, I'm probably just not going to worry about the crabgrass, to be honest with you. If I get a new sign up, now if it's an existing customer that I'm supposed to have gotten the crabgrass, they shouldn't have any crabgrass with the existing customer, but let's say for whatever reason they had just a little bit, then I can use Solitaire, which also has quinclorac mixed with sulfentrazone, but I can use that as a, you know, to spot treat the crabgrass that's existing in the lawn. So that's what I typically do with that, is mix it up in a little handheld or backpack sprayer for spot treating. These are more expensive products, not you know, I'm probably not gonna blanket a whole yard with Solitaire. It's gonna be expensive. But again, if you get your pre-emergent out on time, you shouldn't have to deal with it. But for those late signups, I'm gonna go with the Drive and the Resolute. For those of you that are in the lawn business, what are your strategy? What do you do with those late signups after the crabgrass is germinated? And at what point do you just say, hey, explain to the customer, listen, you didn't sign up until July or even June. I'm sorry, we're just gonna have to let this crabgrass die out in the fall. The crabgrass is an annual, it'll die out and we'll prevent it next year. So comes a point when that crabgrass is mature, it's very difficult to get rid of in the middle of summer, and you might just let it die out at that point. So, but anyway, I'd like to hear from you. What's your strategy? Which products do you use? Do you know, a combination of these? Some people will use one product on their round one, come back round two with a different product. So there's a lot of different strategies on there, whether you put it all out in one application or do split applications. And then what do you do with those late people that sign up after the crabgrass has germinated? I know this, when I'm taking care of hundreds of yards, I've got to get going really fast right after the new year to try to get all these yards sprayed with the pre-emergent before the crabgrass germinates, because it's definitely better to be early than late. And in the cool weather, hopefully that pre-emergent's not going to break down and will do a great job of preventing you having any crabgrass breakthroughs. And once you get it cleaned up one year, you know, you really should not have much of a crabgrass problem. Unfortunately, a lot of customers wait till March and April before they call to begin their service. And if they hadn't had any service in the past, then it becomes an issue, you know, getting rid of that crabgrass. And sometimes you don't see it until later in the summer. So you don't know what you're getting into for a couple more months, and then they got a yard full of crabgrass. So anyway, I hope this video's been helpful. There's a lot of other videos on here. I've got some resources available for you at lawncarelife.com. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.